Hey, welcome back to the podcast. This is Dan Brzezowski. You're in the No Comfort Zone. Today's podcast is all about what do you bring to the table?
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Hey, so I'm just going to put this out there and I'm going to keep it very real as you know me in the No Comfort Zone. There's a lot of men in their 50s who find themselves to be in an insecure place in their life. You're dealing with, the way that life's changing around you. You're dealing with old standards and old standards are now old and new standards are becoming in. Life's changing. And I don't care where you're at. If you're in your 20s, life's changing in 30s, 40s, and so on. And especially as a guy, and this podcast is really targeted towards anyone, but today it's going to be really about what guys have to go through. And I'm saying this because I'm a resident expert on the subject of being a guy. Just want to put that out there. But this applies to anybody. So, I started the podcast out with the title of What Do You Bring to the Table? And as a man, you got to ask yourself, what do you bring to the table? Recently, I'm tying basically two podcast topics together, but hopefully they'll wrap up and hopefully I'll make sense of this at the end of it. But recently there was a guy who posted something in one of the Facebook groups that I belong to that he was hardworking in a program, but a woman rejected him, and he's got to be in his 50s or 60s. I'm not sure where he's at, but rejected him, and he was, depressed, which happens. I get it. I've been there before too. I've been rejected a lot of times. But you know what? I believe in going after it all the time. But if he got rejected, so that doesn't mean that it's over. And this guy, Clark Bartram, had said that don't let one thing stop everything. And I love that quote. That's such a big quote. I use that at work now. Don't let one thing stop everything. Then you got to ask yourself a question. If the person rejected you, good. You know what? Don't let it get you down. You might be lonely for the minute. But the fact of the matter is you got to ask. You have to take 100% accountability, responsibility, ownership of it. What did you bring to the table? As you know, I'm in sales. That's my livelihood. And this podcast really is, I'm selling the idea that adversity in your life is the opportunity to solve future problems and become a better version of yourself so you can have more, do more, and be more. I believe that because I'm living it. I'm living proof, man. The guy that was in a coma, the guy that went bankrupt, not once, but twice, multiple divorces, wasn't able to see my family for a while, was even locked up to get my mental health in check, dealt with addiction, financial ruin, left for dead, in a coma, like I said. And when I got out of all that nonsense and all that nastiness, I woke up with the inability to walk and the inability to talk. It was very short-lived, don't get me wrong. But the fact is that I had to deal with these things mentally, and it scared the shit out of me. Now I look at adversity as a different way of looking at life. So when somebody rejects you or your companionship, I just want to let you know that good, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. I said this story before, and out of, all due respect to my wife now, back when I was out and about on the market, if you will, I had wonderful conversations with somebody that I met in Las Vegas. And I was living in Las Vegas as a speaker, trainer, sales trainer, seminar leader. It's what I was doing. And I had audiences and it was great. And the hours were great, but I was lonely. I didn't have anybody, didn't have my family anymore. I didn't see my kids as much because I was living out there and I wanted to meet someone. So I did what any reasonable person in their late 30s, early 40s would do. I got on dating websites. Yeah, it's horrible. Don't judge. But I did. And I met a lot of great people. I really did. And I had a lot of friends that were women. And it was just a great time to have some friends. And I found a couple that I was pursuing to maybe a little bit something different, a little bit more. And I'm not putting this out there to embarrass myself. I'm just saying, keep it real. I had a wonderful conversation with somebody who I really liked over like a month-long period. We decided to meet. As we decided to meet, happenstance would have it, I was driving around one night. She was leaving work. I called her. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? What's happening? We're just chit-chatting. Yeah, I'm just leaving work. Where do you work? Where are you at? Next thing you know, we met at a corner bar. We had a great conversation. We had a drink back when I drank then. Back when I drank then. We had a great conversation. It was awesome. Super stoked to have this impromptu meeting happen. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, yours truly called me back the next day and she was acting weird. And I asked her what was wrong. And she said, you know what? You're not as tall as I thought you were. I'm like, I didn't lie about my height. And the next best thing was this. You're just different. You're more intense than I thought you were. Like when I met you in person, you're a really intense guy. And I don't know, just a little too much for me. So I don't want to see you again. Holy cow. That was like, wow. We got along great on the phone and we got along great, but I wasn't her cup of tea. Good. Next, guess what ended up happening? As life would have it, tried a few more people, tried some relationships on, they didn't work out. Now I'm with my wife today and I couldn't be happier. You just got to keep at it. But what do you bring to the table? When I met my wife, and in respect to my wife now, when I met my wife, I told her straight up, here's the deal. Here's the deal for me and you. Honesty is important. It's everything. My last relationships were ruined due to lack of honesty on my part and on their part. Drugs and alcohol, smoking can't be a part of my life at all whatsoever. And yes, somewhat of a healthy lifestyle. I like to eat food, but I don't like to go crazy. Also, what's important to me is I like to work out. She got me on that one. She made me feel guilty for going to work out later in a relationship. But I wrote these things down. And I also said, and here's what I bring to the table. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be hardworking. I'm going to do my best to be a good parent. And I'll be loyal, very loyal to you. And I also want you to know something too, that you're going to have to do your part as a wife and I'm going to have to do my part as a husband. And I'm going to have to take care of the family. Put it all down almost on paper. It was almost an agreement. Some people might say, well, that's not very passionate. I don't care. I know my passion, my intensity. And so does she now after being married for almost 10 years. I'm going to put it out there to let you know that I know what I bring to the table. And that's what I'm mentioning in this podcast to you is you better know what you bring to the table and you better stand behind it, because who you are when no one is looking is the person that you are. And the person that I am when no one's looking is the same person I am in this podcast, the same person when I'm going through my exercises, the same person that I am at work. I am that same person because I know the only way for me to achieve the greater good in my life is to be congruent with who I am and who I want to be. And the way to do that is to have integrity. Super important for me. And I know that if you're listening to this podcast, and like I said, I say it before and I'll say it again, you're either getting ready for adversity in the middle of it right now or just got out of it. You're in one of those three spots. I'm getting ready to go into it again. I guess eventually something's going to come up because my life's pretty good right now. And as this podcast reaches you on, I think, February 4th, 2020, I want to let you know something. My life ain't perfect. I got challenges, struggles. I have opportunities. I got domestic issues. I have 2 kids that I don't see on a regular basis, Maddie and Luke, in my life that I miss dearly, and I wish we had a different relationship. It's just the way it is. I have another son that's 11 that lives 2 hours away from me, and I see him on the weekends. That's horrible. It's adversity that I'm dealing with. But based on where I've been in my life and where I'm going right now, I feel pretty good about what's in front of me. And just in case I get a little too comfortable and to start to appreciate some of the good stuff, I decide to put myself into these no comfort zone rituals that I go through. And if you're interested and want to learn more about a no comfort zone opportunity, a 30 or 60, 90 day, let me throw you the blueprint. Let me send you a video. Tell me what's going on in your life. I will hook up with you and let you know exactly what you need to do to go through a no comfort zone. And wait, when you go through it, the person you are day 1 and the person you are at day 30, almost unrecognizable. Guaranteed unrecognizable, 60 days. Guaranteed unrecognizable. From a mindset point of view, from a physical point of view, and yeah, from a financial point of view. And I'm not saying you're going to be wealthy. I'm just going to say this. You're going to deal a lot better at living below your means, which is uncomfortable for a lot of people. And having this opportunity to throw a blueprint in your face and say, like, listen, if you don't know what you bring to the table in a relationship, in a business, in whatever you do, if you don't know what you bring to the table, or if you think you bring something to the table that you don't, I'm here to tell you this. When you know what you bring to the table and somebody rejects you or there's a negative situation, you're not going to care, because at that point it's next. Who's next? Who's better? Because the better and the right person will show up as long as you believe in who you are. It's all about that self-image, right? So anyway, glad you listened to my podcast. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the new listeners that are coming on board. Life's super exciting. I got to tell you that. Go to Apple iTunes. Subscribe to my podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Write a review. I need reviews, man. Reviews are my lifeblood. If you can give me a 5-star rating and a review, man, I would love you for it. But more importantly, if you want to hook up and if you need help, I'm here to help you. And I tell you that. I'm not charging anything. It's not one of those programs. Dan at the No Comfort Zone. Email me. Hey, I need help with this. I'll send you the blueprint. I'll shoot you a video on how to use the blueprint. If you want to talk later on, we can always do that too. But really, now's the start. Today's the start of your life as I'm driving in a snowstorm, recording a podcast in my car safely on the way home. I want to let you know today is the day that you get out of your comfort zone. You know what you bring to the table, and you live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at No Comfort Zone 1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.